Okay, I've done one on one of these before. I had one. I picked up another one, a Kris 200B. I think I bought this because the face was in nice shape. You can see the mirror finish and all of that. Hey, Tram Doctor. Anyway, Kris 200B. Very, very basic amp. About as no frills, and it's about as cheap as you can still make an amp and do the watts. That's what it's supposed to do. Even though they call this a 200, that's just marketing. The Kris 200B, according to the manual, is rated for, I actually have a page over here somewhere. Let's see, here it is. Kris 200B, that second one down, it has output watts and input watts. And over here, 115 output watts and 230 input watts. And if we go all the way down, that's with 15 watts of drive. You know, with no driver tube, you can hit it a little bit harder, but that's hitting this little bitty amp really hard. Over here, with 5 watts of drive, it's rated for 74 watts out, 148 watts input. It does about 50% efficiency. About half the plate watts that go into the tubes, half of them go out. The other half are ate by the tubes, and that's normal operation. The maximum efficiency is about 65%, and that's with a perfectly built amplifier. You know, very short components, you know, very good coax jumpers internally, and just, you know, a perfect amplifier. They don't make a perfect amplifier. So usually efficiency is going to run around 50-55% of what you put into the tube you're going to get out. And then, I've said this many times and I'm trying to hammer it in, if you mistune an amplifier by detuning, tuning load, or driver tuning load, instead of the watts going out, the efficiency goes down, you know, 33%, 20%, you know, of what goes in, only 20%, 33%, however far you tune it down, less are going out. And what happens, the amp is eating more watts, eating those watts. The watts are staying in the tubes instead of going out. But anyway, I didn't want to harp on that too long. I just wanted to go through this basic amplifier. On-off switch, tune and load, tune, load, filament light, basically a power on light, and then a transmit RF indicator, no meter, and then standby, off and on, no SSB delay, no preamp. Over here on the insides, let's see if we can turn it this way without touching anything. We're not live on it, but just in case. Down here we got the relay. It's a 2-pole relay, and when amplifiers makers use a 2-pole relay, they normally, in a grounded grid amp like this one, let's get a pointer here. Grounded grid amplifiers put the drive on the cathode, and also the cathode needs to be grounded electrically. So they use a plate cathode choke like this to ground it, and also that cathode choke is not in line all the time. It's only activated when you key down the amp, and normally most amplifier makers, they use a third leg or a third pole on the relay to accomplish this. But when you go cheap, what you do is you put that on the input side of your coax coming in, and that's connected all the time to the input side. And then when the relay keys down and connects the input to the tubes, it grounds the cathode that way. So that's connected to your coax line, in and out, feed through, whatever, all the time, because they went cheap instead of using a 3-leg relay with that 2-leg relay to do that, just to save 50 cents, right? very thrifty amplifier, economically built. That's the power supply board. Full way bridge, which is good, but just uses one diode per leg. 2 capacitors is all for your high voltage. That's the high voltage plate choke. Small size transformer. 2 final tubes. No parasitic suppressor. 1 small plate blocking capacitor. Then your tuning load. Just very basic over on the inside and outside. Oh, by the way, keying transistor. No, I'm sorry, keying tube. No transistor circuit. It uses a tube for the keying circuit, and that's what that tube was. You know, very basic amplifier. Over here we got the Mohawk 60 just to compare it to. You know, bigger tubes. A little bit of bias down there on the board. That's what those components are. Bigger transformer. It uses 3 plate blocking caps. Parasitic suppressors are up there. Just as you can see, more components and a better built amp. This over here is DC circuitry. The Mohawk 60 will work on AC or DC. You can go mobile, and it's got those switching transistors for that, but we don't put tube amplifiers like this in the mobile. But back to the you know, basic amp. You can see how basic it's built on the top and on the bottom too. On the bottom you don't see much of nothing, right? Just the bottom side of the transformer, the tubes, no tuned input whatsoever, so the watts coming in go straight to the coax and straight to the tube. You know, no other components going to it except that plate choke, which I already showed you, that's connected to the relay, which grounds that, or floats the ground for that plate choke. You got your filament coming in, and that's it. This here at the bottom here, in this circuitry here, this cap and resistor, that's for the keying circuit here. All that's for the keying circuit. Just an AC terminal strip, fuse, and transformer. Just nothing to this amplifier. And just for comparisons, we can get you turned around. Here's the Mohawk 60. You know, 3 caps, 2 sets of diodes in the bridge, 3-pole relay instead of 2-pole relay. Tuned input circuit, that's what that tuner does there. Just a better built, more robust amp, and you know, more complicated. You know, this probably costs twice as much to build as that. This here relay goes to the DC circuitry. That's not in effect in the AC, but you know, much more robust amp than a 200. But you know, again, what's interesting to me, I think I said this on the last video, is they call this a 200, and this is rated for 230 watts max input and about half out, so 115 watts max out. And that would be SSB too for those maximum ratings, right? But they don't tell you that. Where the Mohawk 60 is called a 60. And yet, let me see if I could find the figures on it. Here it is. My page on that, I highlighted on this Mohawk 60. Input power is 250 watts. And output is 120 watts PEP SSB. Right in the manual. And that's the CW watts. And over here for AM on the Mohawk 60 is just basically rated at 125 watts input, 50 watts output. And that's at 50% duty cycle, you know, 5 minutes max. Again, that's the manual for the Mohawk 60, right? But the Kris 200, it's just rated, you know, supposedly at a 115 watts out, 230 watts input, and they call it a 200. Very interesting to me with that. You know, again, no tuned input, no preamp, no thrills, no spills. Just a very, very basic grounded grid amplifier. And here's a little tidbit that with no input tuning, grounded grid amplifier, the tubes are basically low ohms. Like a sweep tube is basically around it was about 130 ohms per tube. 3500Z is about 100 ohms per tube. And if you got a pair of 3500Zs, basically the input ohmage is already at 50 ohms. If you got sweep tubes, since it's already low, you know, two of them will give you about, you know, 75 ohms input. And that's why you can get away with not using an input tuner, even though that's not ideal. You want that spring effect and tuning to help smooth out the input SWR and your watts and everything else. So it's a good idea to have it, but that's how manufacturers can get away, like in the Kris, without having a input tuner at all. So anyway, we gonna fire it up. Got my filament lighting nice and bright on my Kris 200. No thrills, no spills. I think I already did one on this years ago and said the same thing. Let it warm up for a minute. Somebody asked on Facebook, you know, hey, you know, do tubes need warm up? It's like, well, it depends on the tube. Some do, some don't. But it's a good idea to let them tubes warm up with the filament and the cathode before you apply the high voltage. It's a good idea regardless. Just for longevity and glitches and all that. Let them warm up first. So I guess that's enough warm up for a sweep tube. Here's the back of it. Just a fuse, input and output of this thing. Very, like I say, no thrills, no spills on the Kris 200B. And with the 15 watts drive, you're supposed to get 115 out, and then with 5 watt drive you get about 75 out. And I'm only putting, well, you'll see it on the meters here. The left is my input watts, the right is my output watts. The right is on peak, the left input watts is on average. So with 3 watts going in, audio, swinging a 7. I'm dead key in 35, audio, and swinging about 85 peak, which is, you know, what it's supposed to do with my input and output. See my RF light indicator lighting up. No SSB delay at all. I'm keying the mic, and hopefully you can see the relay is keying down fast. No delay in the relay. So basically AM only. Basically 10-11 meters only, no band switches, no nothing, just a very basic no thrills, no spills amplifier. But you know, people see the Kris 200 and they'll spend the money for that cheaper than they would buy something like the Mohawk 60. It's only a 60 and it costs twice as much. So that's marketing for you. All right, that's it for this one. Bye.